Well, number one, be willing to take a risk. Put yourself out there, take a risk. Be willing to take on opportunities that may not necessarily be at home. They are very challenging. There's a lot of sweat and long hours that go into it, but it's also very rewarding. I've built wonderful relationships with people from all over the world over the balance of the last 10 years, and I wouldn't trade the experience that I've had for anything. I think the other part that's really important is, especially when you're moving overseas with a family. I was single at the time, so it was maybe a little less important immediately for me. But you have to be able to find the right balance of professional time and family time. And relative to the family time, it's also your time personally. So you do have to find an outlet for things that you love to do, whether that's sports or it's hobbies or it's other things. You have to be able to get to your destination location and find an outlet for the things that you love to do, because if you give that stuff up, it makes the rest of your assignment probably less enjoyable. And I think it's also important, and I've seen this with other people that I've moved from the US back over to Asia, was really you got to be able to find time to really onboard your family to a new environment. Some things are much more difficult overseas, and one that we experienced specifically was around schools. Schools can be very competitive to get into, very expensive to pay for, and it's not like you can just show up and your child is enrolled. There's a long application process, there are waiting lists, so that's important too. Spending enough time with family and thinking about them as part of the overall relocation is a really important part too. And I guess lastly, the other big ticket item that I think is really important is that connectivity back home. Both personally and professionally. You have to find a way to make sure that you remain connected and that you have a path at some point to get home, if that's what you choose to do. In terms of what I wish I would have done, I wish I would have spent some time trying to identify some people that had done it before, that I could have asked some of those questions about what should I be prepared for, what should I be preparing myself for, what should I expect, are there specific challenges that you encountered that I should prepare myself for? What questions should I be asking of my employer? What questions should I be asking of myself? And am I prepared for some of the things that I may encounter? So I wish I would have had a resource that I could have spent some time with to understand their journey, to be able to kind of understand how that may impact me.